I want to pick on Mr. David, and I want to pick on Mr. Todd. And we'll start with you, Mr.
Great.
Todd. Same question. I've done a lot of reading, unfortunately. And over the last few weeks, I keep hearing the words, and I heard them tonight, about states' rights. Now, I understand states' rights. I understand what goes on in politics and government to a point. Roy Barnes, which I don't particularly care for, obviously, made a couple of statements, and I guess in one of his little political speeches mentioned something about the microchip, which we talked about in here. And he also mentioned something else about seceding. Now, I get a little scared when I hear that, and this states' rights, I agree with it, but when we start talking about pulling together down here and separating from the union, it scares me. Because, I've always thought about, the weakest link, is the one that tears it up. And we don't need to be the weakest link. We need to all pull together as Americans in this country. I spend a good portion of my time solving that problem. What do you think about that situation? Have you run into it?
About whether we should give it any credence to secede? Is that what the question is?
Well, that plus the fact, where do you feel, maybe it's too hard a question to ask.
Well, no, it's not. I like the tough questions, but it's seceding, it is scary. And I don't think, we are the United States of America. And there are people that are trying to divide us right now. And I think that what we're witnessing is the dismantling of America and the provocation to separate us into groups. And if we allow it to happen, it's going to destroy us. If we allow it to separate the left from the right, and it's going to happen, if we continue down this road, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly on cultural levels. It's going to be ugly on racial levels. It's going to be ugly on economic levels.
Where do you draw the lines in states' rights? That's what I'm confused.
States, the federal government. What are we promised in the Constitution? Y'all are constitutional. What is the federal government's role?
Life, liberty.
Provide for common defense,
general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to us and our customers.
Absolutely. Is it to provide education? Is it to provide health care? It's not. It's to provide keep us safe. Keep us safe. Now, when I was building my house, and I built the last two houses, I had to choose a grass. I don't know if y'all had to go through that when you built your house, but I got lazy man's grass, and it's, anybody know what lazy man's grass is? It's centipede. Centipede. Because it runs. But see, when I planted that, and this is what our government has done, you plant centipede and you give it I had this monkey grass border and this flower bed. Well, and I kept it watered, and it was beautiful grass. Beautiful grass. But it started running, and every now and then there'd be a runner that went into my flower bed. So I'd grab it, and I'd pull it out, and I'd plant it somewhere else where there was a bare spot. And then all of a sudden there was 2 runners, and then 3. And by the time I got tired, and I let it just kind of overtake my flower bed. And that's what we've done with the federal government. We let those runners come in one at a time, and we started kicking them out for a while. But after a while, it started getting into our flower bed, which is our lives and our families. And now guess what? We got to do some weeding. And it's going to take out some flowers when we do the weeding. And it's not going to be easy. But we're going to have to. We're going to have to. The states' rights things is, I think, Alan, more what that is we've got to stand up and say, look, we're here. We don't need you to do everything. We don't need you to carry us anymore. But there, as a firm line in the sand, you can't draw. I don't know how to do that. I don't. Dave, you know how to do that?
My take on it is I haven't heard it. I haven't been paying attention to Roy Barnes. Forgive me. It's not high on my things to do list these days.
Neither do we. So.
But I haven't heard any discourse on succession, even from some.
It's out there going on.
On the far edges, it might be. In the mainstream, I can't see that happening anytime soon. There's a lot of ticked off people in this country right now, and I believe this election is going to prove it. What happened in 1994 with the voter revolution, I believe we're going to dwarf that this year. I really do. There are so many ticked off Republicans. There are many ticked off independents, and I'm telling you folks, I have met ticked off Democrats. This Obamacare flipped a lot of people that are lifelong Democrats over to the other side to take a look at, well, maybe there's another choice here. And I really believe that this election is going to open a lot of eyes. To what degree, I have no idea. I like to see David Scott unemployed.
Yeah, telling a lot of-